The Vols didn't do much, just for the record, in the transfer portal. In case you didn't know, we'll take a look. Is that good or bad for Tennessee? It is 4 downs. Brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas.
4 Downs brought to you by Dynasty Spas, the most comfortable spas made in the United States of America, right here in East Tennessee. Drop in for the all-new showroom in Athens. Dynasty Spas, perfect for all 4 seasons. 4 Downs, presented by Off the Hook Sports.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look at that transfer portal. Cooper, what should people do, sir?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Oh, thank you. What down?
Coop here. First down.
All right, Tennessee lost 15 players in the transfer portal. How does that compare to the rest of the SEC teams? I remind you, just stop by Dynasty Pools and Spas right off of I-75 in Athens. Ask for an Off the Hook Sports t-shirt or a Celebrate 98 book, and they'll hook you up. What do you got? Where does that rank among SEC players?
Sorry,
or SEC teams?
Tennessee, okay, with the transfer portal. Their transfer portal pickups, they had a total of 8 dating back to the offseason in December.
Well, let's stick with just what they lost. 15.
Oh, lost. Okay, sorry. Yes,
Okay.
they lost 15 dating back to December, dating back to the offseason. They lost 15. That is last in the SEC, fewest players lost in the SEC, Tennessee.
Fewest. It sounds like a lot. That surprises me. I almost thought it was a typo when we were talking about it.
No, they lost the fewest.
So it sounded like a lot at the time, but in retrospect, it's pretty good.
You lose a lot. You got to remember, you lose a lot of players in the portal because a lot of players who weren't starting just bolt. I mean, so it's common to lose a lot of players.
I mean, you're going to lose a half dozen a year, I think. Bare minimum. I don't care how good things are going.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
How many of those guys do you think Tennessee said, it'd be good if you just went ahead and cruised on out? Now, this is speculation before we get to some stuff we know. But how many? I'm going to go with 10.
I was going to go 13, but I think the only one they didn't was Tyler Barron.
Okay.
I think everybody else, they were like, yeah, you might want to go and get a cruise on out of here.
Okay. I will go with that. I was going to ask you next who would be the one guy that they didn't say that to, and it would be Tyler Barron. We both can agree with that. Now,
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
All right. Third down. Tennessee picks up 8 players in the SEC portal. Where does that rank? I remind you to stop by Dynasty Pools and Spas and just ask for that free t-shirt or free book right off the Athens exit on I-75, Dynasty Pools and Spas. So picked up 8 players, and that's last in the SEC?
That is dead last in the SEC. They lost the fewest and picked up the fewest.
Okay. I thought you said last in the SEC. We were talking at our 3:45 a.m. production meeting. I thought you said last in the SEC, or when it came to the spring portal, which would have been 0. But you mean last in the SEC as a whole. Can you give me a rundown of the other teams? Who's trying to completely rebuild? I think you can tell a lot by these teams.
I don't have the full number of the other teams. I apologize for that now. I can try to pull that up.
See if you can pull that up. Hit the like button and subscribe. You can still take part in our poll question that is on board. Would you be offended if Nico wore pajama bottoms on the ball walk? Yes, he should respect UT history. No, his play is all that matters. So where does that rank amongst other SEC teams? We'll tell you in just 1 minute. 4 downs, brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. The best thing about Dynasty Pools and Spas is that they've got it all taken care of. What does that mean? Well, you stop by their showroom and check out their fantastic selection of top-notch spas in that showroom in Athens. Make your pick and get ready, because Dynasty Pools and Spas delivers within 125 miles of that location in Athens, that fantastic showroom. They've got the cover lift, steps, chemicals, and everything you need. Delivery at no extra charge. They're just down the road in Athens. You pick the spa you want, and it'll be there for you. Oftentimes discounted with military and first responders discounts. Also blemish models, or just mention Off the Hook Sports. That's Off the Hook Sports for $500 off. There's a discount for you on spas made right here in East Tennessee. Support local. Dynasty Pools and Spas also has the best chemicals for you and your spa and your pool. No fillers, just the chemicals made right here in East Tennessee. Support local. Dynasty Pools and Spas $500 off if you mention Off the Hook Sports. $500 off if you mention Off the Hook Sports. Dynasty Pools and Spas, dynastypoolsandspas.com. And just for stopping by, you get a Celebrate 98 book or a Off the Hook Sports t-shirt. Your choice. Just ask for Scott and say hello. Caleb, third down was, where does that rank among SEC teams? We know it's last. Who are the teams?
Quick correction. I want to apologize to everybody.
Oh, okay.
It's next to last in the SEC. Last in the SEC in fewest departures. Second to last in fewest pickups, 8. LSU was the fewest at 7.
Okay, fair enough. So we know that those two teams are not trying to completely rebuild. They're further along in the rebuilding process. Who do we see at the top of those lists that are either losing people? Let's address both. Losing people, I'm going to guess Alabama, or trying to rebuild like crazy. And I'm going to guess Texas A&M.
Wow, Dave. You nailed it. Alabama was number 1 in the most players lost at 39. Well, they were number 1 in the most players. And then Texas A&M was number 1 in the most players added at 28.
And A&M was number 1 in players added. Well,
yeah,
I figured they'd have a lot of people that left, and they do have money, so I figured they'd be able to pull people in. With Alabama, though, I would have said a lot, and I would have said high 20s. 39. You only have 85 scholarship roster players.
And they only added 12. So that's a net loss of 27 players that they had in the portal.
Okay, I'm changing fourth down. May I change fourth down altogether?
Go ahead and change it.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
You'll enjoy this. Do these numbers prove that Alabama is just going to be terrible this year? I mean, maybe not this year, but 2-3 years down the line, can you survive? I don't care if Kalen DeBoer is the next Steve Spurrier. I don't care if Kalen DeBoer is whoever. Can you survive getting a roster gutted like this?
I don't think you can. I mean, it's one thing to lose and then pick up a lot of guys, but they lost a net 27 players. I mean, that's just insane. Now, let's be fair here.
It's bigger than a signing class. It's bigger than a signing class.
That is bigger than a signing class. You're right. Every school lost a net. Texas A&M was number 1 in the fewest. They lost a total. They lost 31 and picked up 28, meaning that's a net 3 losses, obviously. And Tennessee's was a net 7, but South Carolina's was a net -5. I don't really care about the net as much from most people, from most teams, because most of the players they lost, they don't care about. Most of the players they added, they care about. Alabama, that's not the case. They lost 39 players. They did not want to lose all 39 of those players. And they had, and they didn't have any withdrawals either. Now, this is the big deal. None of those players withdrew from the portal and returned to Alabama. And 29 have already found new homes. So they are just, I mean, I don't know how. The only thing you can maybe say that could keep them afloat, they were so loaded with talent because of Nick Saban's recruiting that they can still afford to field a competent team, and Kalen DeBoer is a good offensive coach.
I agree with that. So I think it's a short term, which is almost worse. You'd almost, I think, rather build on the way up. It creates optimism. All right, so with Alabama, could Nick Saban have overcome this? Because you didn't have the transfer portal in which guys could just jet. And he ran guys, don't get me wrong, but a net flip of 27, could Nick Saban? And then I want to get back to Tennessee, a question I have about Tennessee. But could he have survived that and won 7 championships at Alabama? I'm going to say no.
I think he could have. He effectively survived it his first year at Alabama, because I'm just going to say it. That was the most. Do you remember Simeon Castile?
No.
Defensive player for Alabama when Nick Saban was there. Simeon Castile was the anchor of the defense. Total diva. Terrible for team chemistry. DJ Hall was the anchor for the offense at wide receiver.
Well, you know, my linebacker, the one I pointed out, was selling cocaine in the parking lot.
Well, that's what I mean.
To talk.
Alabama lost a ton of players after that 2007 season, and Nick Saban was like, good riddance to all of you. And they all graduated. Half of them were supposed to be NFL draft caliber players and didn't get drafted. Remember, they sat there and Nick Saban had to deal with them getting free textbooks and breaking NCAA rules on that. Remember that?
Yes.
The whole
Yes, I was in the press box when they handed out that was purely they wanted to embarrass those kids too. That was purely a way of creating division among kids so they would leave and not serve out the red shirt year in some cases. Go back and look at the list of players.
Saban was behind embarrassing them.
Oh yeah, I've never had a press release handed out in the press box before saying that players ineligible. And
So Saban was
6 players, 6, 7, 8 players, however many it was, were ineligible. I do want to get back to Tennessee.
Saban wanted them gone. He wanted them out of there. That's what I mean. He was trying to push these guys out and trying to run out guys because they were the most. And now let's be fair here.
I don't think you ever want anybody gone. I think you want somebody to straighten up or be gone.
I think Nick Saban wanted these guys gone. He didn't. He had no respect for the players he inherited at Alabama. Because remember, that Alabama team was 6-7 the year before, and they probably were good enough to go 9-3, 10-2, but they went 7-6 because Nick Saban had such stringent rules and was trying to force guys off. To be fair to Mike Shula, the reason they had limited discipline was because Mike Shula's, his hands were tied in recruiting. He couldn't be selective the way Nick Saban could because of Alabama's probation. So he just took whoever he could.
Travis, another great point. His first year at Alabama, Saban lost bad players to Bohr as losing ballers. That is absolutely the case. I could not agree more. Fantastic point. This day.
No, he lost good players, but they were divas. He lost good players. They were just very, very, they were low character guys.
But as a whole, that roster wasn't even close to what it is now.
True, but it was better than 7-6, which is what he went in 2007. But he didn't mind going 7-6 because he was trying to force off guys.
Again, you just stop by on I-75, the Athens exit, go to Dynasty Pools and Spas, and you can ask for an Off the Hook Sports t-shirt or Celebrate 98 book just to say hello. Say, Scott, Off the Hook Sports sent me. This question, though, that I have for you, what does it say about Tennessee that they have a net turnover of blank? I'll let you do the math, but the least turnover of almost any team in the SEC. What does it say about Tennessee? Does it say Josh Heupel's happy or the roster's that good or a little bit of both? Because you and I have had questions about his talent evaluation at times. What does it say about Tennessee to be at that point? Brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas.
I think it says that Josh Heupel understands in the landscape of NIL and the transfer portal, the intangible of chemistry and is a big deal, and experience is a bigger deal than it's ever been before. And I get, we have people who are on the show with us and I get being prisoner of the last 10, 15 years, and you start to think just recruiting and talent wins out over everything else. But Dave, I think you're entering with NIL, you're having a renaissance in college sports where experience and chemistry outweighs talent sometimes. And this may be another topic for Monday, but I think Tennessee may be copying the Michigan model of this past year.
I don't think they're copying it. I don't think we'll get to that next week. Okay. But I don't think they're copying it. I think that's just the way the market has settled itself out. And I know what you're referring to, and I do want to get into that. Let's definitely do that next week. No question about it.